everything up, running, ready. If you are watching this, go ahead and greet me in the comments. And hello to all of you out there in YouTube land. Dr. Stock, of course. This interesting day. Interesting day. Absolutely couldn't be more excited about the London hard fork that we have with Ethereum. So let me see. Let's go over to watchtheburn.com. There we go. So what we're looking at here is watchtheburn.com, and you can see the total ETH that we have burned, and you can also see those base fees rocking right around that 45 way that we have, so the gigaway going on. So check out that total ETH burn, and this has only been live since just after 8:30 Eastern time. That we're being up over that 12 ETH, so at 2,000 already. So let me see, it'd be 24,000. But then there's also another 600 on top of that. So more like what, $30-ish thousand worth of ETH or so that have been burned away already. And what we can see is when we compare the burned Ether to the rewards that have been put out there, about 30% of those rewards are being washed out by that burn rate that we have. So this is something that's really going to help that inflation rate become lower, which should also help out our supply and demand moving forward with Ethereum. And you can see there's been 37 blocks so far. And like I said, this is watchtheburn.com. And even though I don't think that over time it'll be something to check in on daily, I think throughout today, where the London hard fork has been live for less than an hour, I think it's going to be exciting to watch that throughout the day. And maybe to check it next couple days, and then every couple weeks or so, just to see how much ETH has been burned away as a result of the London hard fork that's been coming out. And they also have, you can switch over to a chart where they show you tips versus burned. And so this lighter color that we see is the tips that were paid out, and you can see there's spikes where those tips go through. And you can also see how much has been burned away also. So the tips are something to get the transactions to happen faster. It incentivizes the miners to take over those transactions to prioritize for the ones that are adding those tips. And that's the way the miners can make some extra Ether in the form of rewards through that tipping from whichever user it is that's doing those transactions. And then we also have the transactions here as well, where we can see that chart with the number of transactions take place, where it tells us about the block number, how many transactions there were, how many Ether were paid out in rewards, how many were burned. So just really cool stuff to check out. And I'm excited to watch the rest of the Ethereum 2.0 development play out following this hard fork that we have. Proof of stake, I think, being the next big one that we have. And that's late 2021 was a skeptical thing, early 2022. And this is coming from Vitalik, last I heard. Early 2022 is more likely for the proof of stake switch from the proof of work that they have right now. Had to go back and get an updated thing on that, see if there's any other updates about if there's a more a smaller time window, a narrower time window that we have that tells us where we can when we can expect that proof of stake to come through. As far as price goes, we didn't expect a lot of price action coming out of Ether immediately. Based off the London hard fork, it's been running around $2,600, and it's still $2,600. So excellent price compared to where Ethereum has been, but we are bumping up against resistance right at about 2,700. I think last I saw 2695. I think let's go ahead and take a look. I think that was about the high point that we saw recently for Ethereum. So breaking that $2,700 mark brings us up, and I think we have another $100 or so until we hit resistance again at about $2,800. So let me hit the trading view, and we'll take a look at that chart. Zoom in so it's a little bit bigger on your screens, going to make a little bit more economy for everyone watching. So highest candle that we have is right here, and the high price. Oh, we did break it. All right. So 27.72. That was yesterday. I wonder if I go down to a smaller time frame, if we can see exactly when that was hit. Let's go down to the hourly chart. There we go. There it is. So 22. Okay, so this was after I went to bed last night. This is about 10 o'clock at night Eastern time. That we did peak up just for a little bit up above that $2,700 mark. It looks like the hour afterwards at 27.05. The close in, the open. Okay, so right around between that time frame. and then it dropped right back down. So we did peekaboo up over $2,700. This one back here, 27.26. Did I read that wrong? 27.48. Okay, so yeah, we broke over 2,700, and then looks like then 28 is our next price to look forward to. And let's zoom out a little bit on this, and this is the hourly chart that we're looking at. I do want to be mindful of the time because we have market open about the next 7 minutes. By the way, those of you watching, feel free to greet me, say good morning, and when we get over to the stocks or even with crypto, if there's anything you want to see or talk about, just let me know, and then we can go and take a look at them. So with the recent price action, we've hit about that 50% retracement mark. So really, we're at that point where it could go either way, that it's going to continue its climb and go upward, or we could see it break back down, and then that would give us some decent resistance that we have here. It would show a stronger resistance if it does fall back down farther from the price that it's currently at. Let's go out to the daily chart. All right, in the daily chart there, heck of a run, followed by, let me see, a little bit of a resting period, engulfing green candle, spiked up above, and now we are about the 50% retracement level compared to the previous day that we had. We don't want to close much lower today from where we're at if we're going to continue to see this strength come out. We would like to see enough upward pressure to hold it up there for a little bit and honestly establish a new base of support, because this double bottom that we have, which can be a very bullish signal for us to have that double bottom, breaking up above resistance now would be very bullish for Ethereum. As a matter of fact, you can see this nice little W shape that we have after that sell-off. So we could really be hitting the point of a reversal with crypto, and Ethereum showcases that very well. All right, let's go over to the stocks. From just the ones that I have here. Hi, Doc, what's your Ethereum price prediction 2025? I get asked a lot for price predictions, Faiz, and I'll get to the stocks in just a second. I just wanted to reach out to the comment that Faiz puts here. For Ethereum, as bullish as I am on it, I can see it at least at the very minimum, it would be doubling over the next 2 years. And that's a very, I think that's a very reasonable case. I don't like to be super bullish to the point where I start to delude myself and mislead myself to getting starry-eyed and thinking this thing could be $50,000 by 2025, because even though that would be incredible, it seems like there would be a lot of strange things that would have to happen in order for that to happen. I think a really good case for Ethereum would be that $10,000 mark. We really need to watch how that adoption comes out. ETFs are going to play a big part in it for that buy-side pressure. Regulation, I think, regulation overall would help us out. Because I think that would bring in a feeling of safety and some standardization to the practices that we see, even though I still would like to keep the decentralized nature of the cryptocurrencies. Having some standard practices in place or having some sort of protection in there might be something that really helps us bring the cryptocurrencies more into the mainstream, where it's an everyday thing for the everyday person. So I don't think that 10,000 is unreasonable by 2025. Especially with the base fee burn that we have going on now, increased demand for Ethereum over time, and switching over to the scalability solutions that we have that'll come in the form of proof of stake and, sharding being the big part of that. Really watching that success come out of it. And if we do reach the point where it does become a deflationary asset, then 10,000 becomes even more reasonable. So 2025 going what's that, about 4x, a little under 4x from where it is right now. I don't think that is an unreasonable price for Ethereum moving forward. All right. I could go on for that for a long time, but we have 3 minutes until the market opens. And I want to take a look at some of the price action that we see. I have SoFi up here. And the interesting thing about SoFi right now, from the price that they had at $16.39, if we take a look at the most recent highs prior to this, we had a high of $16.65. And then a high here of 1660. Right now during the pre-market, we're at 1666. So right now we're looking at the daily chart. Yesterday, we peaked out at 1658. So let's go to the 30-minute chart where we can see intraday. And you can see SoFi. Now, mind you, this is low volume, off-peak hours activity and during the pre-market. So we don't have a lot of the market makers and everything in here yet. But when we do open up, if we open above that 1666 for for SoFi, we could really see some of that resistance finally being broken. And I believe that we're about, I think they report on the 12th, which is a week from today for their earnings. It's probably not mentioned here in the news. I'll have to go back and check when their earnings comes out, but I believe it's the 12th. So you can go ahead and look into that. But being that week out and with strong expectations coming out for their earnings for SoFi, I think this is their first earnings as SoFi. As a matter of fact, since their merger with IPOE, I think that we're going to see some decent run up. So if we break resistance today at those 1660s, break into the 1670s, if we go significantly above that, I think that we have room to run for SoFi. So we'll take a look at the daily chart. Yeah. So we actually have room. Oh, there's a cat at my door. We actually have room. Let me see. Mid-17s, maybe even up to, that would be incredible to make it up to the 50-day that we have here at 1880. So like the high to mid 18s or mid to high 18s. Moving forward from that, we do get a decent amount of sell side pressure right now, though. So we'll see how it opens. If we get a drop, and that happens a lot of times, that we get a drop right at the open when it's trading higher during the pre-market. And then from there, we see a little bit more of settling where the price is actually going to end up. MVIS up almost, MVIS, Microvision up almost 15%. This is one that when it dropped below $14, I started eyeing a little bit. It's still a small company. Their catalyst this time is off their earnings that they have. All right, the cat is now in the room with me. I didn't even see that happen, but he's definitely playing with his tunnel that crinkles like a plastic bag. We have 19 seconds until the market opens. Looks like earnings probably dropped yesterday during the aftermarket hours for MVIS. All right. So let me see. We have buy side support at 1380, sell side pressure at 1410. Ooh, my goodness, that probably popped a few people out of their stops right there when that little jump down happened right at market open. But the market is open, and we can see that price action playing out. We have the 200 period right now, the orange one right here at the top that could act as support for us right on 1360. We'll see if that gets broken right off the bat. If so, we have room down to 1309. So we'll see how that plays out for Microvision. Small company in the LiDAR space with really, really cool technology. Let me see. EPS 9 cents misses. Okay, so they missed on that. Their sales 700,000 in line. Okay, second quarter results. I want to read up on this today before the trading day tomorrow and see what's going on and see if it's their guidance. Let me see. Earnings reaction history, Microvision 45.5% up. Follow through indicator 14% sensitive. All right. So still finding support right around that 200 period. This is a 30-minute chart that we're looking at. Let me switch over to this one for percent change since the market opened. There we go. Looks like we're about 10% up for metamaterials as well. And I think that they're ones that maybe they would move in a little bit of sympathy with what we'd have with companies that are like MVIS. AMC up about 7%. Let me see what else we have. NVIDIA, Joel. There you go. Let's check out CCL. That happened to me yesterday too. All right, WEBULL pop back open here. I'm probably going to have to beef up my hardware sooner than later. There we go. Because sometimes I bottom out resource-wise, and then I get crashes like that. So I apologize. All right, well, that's Snapchat. Let's go to CCL, like I said. There we go. All right, so Carnival, I mentioned in my Discord yesterday to check out the cruise lines with the new strains, Delta variant and maybe a Gamma variant now. Talking about that and other mask protocols. I was just hearing about New York City. People have to wear a mask unless they can prove they've been vaccinated. I didn't fact check that information, but those are things that I've heard about. And with enough news coming out about spreading cases and stuff, I don't know that we'd ever see lockdowns again. And I really hope not to see those again. I think that we know more now, that we're better prepared now to handle whatever the coronavirus happens to throw at us, despite the variants and stuff. We already know about mask wearing and social distancing, cleanliness. We got vaccines, we got treatments. And so a lot of the fear and some of the threats, we'll say, have been mitigated against for those things. So with cruise lines, being careful, of course, because the debt that they've taken on because of the cash burn and just trying to slim down their businesses to slow that cash burn and really trying to rotate out of this in a way that they're still sort of on survival mode. So the risk when it comes to cruise lines is about not going bankrupt in the meantime while they're waiting to get back to capacity for sailing. And honestly, they're just going to continue to face speed bumps. There you go, in the road, moving forward with this. So yesterday, down quite a bit off of the recent highs that they've had, and I think that they're at least worth considering with the recent price action that they've had. Carnival dropping. When was this here? This was back on the 19th, dropping under $20 per share. That would have been a time where had I seen Carnival dropping below 20 like that, I probably would have picked up a few shares on the off chance that we saw a recovery from that. And it looks like it would have paid off in the form of 10 to 15% following that purchase on that day. Some wishy-washiness. So even as a swing trade, one nice thing that we see prior to these days where we have the cruise lines in general, not just Carnival, where we have that bit of a sell-off. Prior to that, we had a pretty strong resistance happening along the 200-day, which is currently sitting at 23.58. So should we find support right now at about $20 to $21 per share, which it looks like we might, besides this big sell-off part, we might find from $20 to $21 being where we find that support. Then we have room up to about $23.50 before we bump into resistance again. And I think, like I said, it's worth keeping eyes on and some consideration. At this point in time, I already have a position in Norwegian. I don't have a position in CCL or RCL. We'll go to RCL. No, we'll bump back to Norwegian. All right, so like I said, similar chart. You can see the same low point, which is on the 19th, the same rally from that low point, which is on the 20th. Although RCL did happen to break resistance on the 200-day and then found support at it for a little bit until, again, that most recent sell-off. And it looks like it's finding support somewhere around the low 70s, and it could have resistance again around the 200-day, around the $80 mark. So depending on your risk appetite and depending on what you're looking for, there's at least a swing opportunity, if not a long-term trade opportunity, looking at the cruise lines. But some of that would take some studying and research, I think, on my part, for what we can expect for the cruise lines going forward and how soon they could turn things around. If this doesn't turn into maybe a bull trap where we see a little bit of a bounce up before it drops back down again and breaks that support that we have. So just some things to look at moving forward with that. All right. So just because I'm curious, I want to see where we're at so far. Hit the refresh button. Uh-oh, site can't be reached. This happened before. I was actually trying to do this right around the time that EIP 1559, the London Hard Fork, went live. And I ran into that same trouble. So I'm thinking that it might be a little bit too crowded. And so not being able to access it. So we'll have to try and get back to that later to see where that's going. All right. Ooh, I want my percent change. There it is. All right, so on percent change, taking a look at Tesla moving up to about that 720 mark. Right now it's hitting at 719. So I had these on here, these indicators, or these drawings on here, these little segments, to say that it could break out in either direction, likely to the top side because of the support that we're finding on the 200-day. And it did break upwards, which is a good thing. So the pattern worked. Excellent. And then from there, if you look at the most recent pattern that we have, this right here is a bit of a bullish pennant pattern that we have. And it would be nice to come through with a little bit more of a volume confirmation so that from here it can break again in either direction. So it can break to the downside if it falls off of these lows. Let me get my drawing tools. There you go. I always do that. I draw that too short. There we go. There we are. So there's that point for the pennant. Here's the flagpole for it. There we go. And see if I can zoom in to make it a little bit more visible. So we had that little flagpole. And should we go above or below this line significantly, we can see a breakout in either direction. It has been running, so another breakout to the top side would be excellent. But it would also be understandable if it did take a little bit of rest, finding support right around that $700 mark. So you can see the tops of these candles over here. And this is ceiling becomes the floor. That what before was resistance now turns into like a sort of area of support. So I think if it did break to the downside, we would find a little bit of cushion for that fall, somewhere around 700. If it did break to the upside, it would be equal to what we see indicator wise, technically speaking, the same length of this flagpole that we have right here, which would be incredible. That would take us up into the mid to high 700s. From where it's at right now at 715 at the moment. All right. Good morning. Is it Isla Patel? Let me know. And hello, Taco. All right. So let me see some of the other ones that we have. If you guys want to see any specific tickers, oh, I said I would show NCLH and then I didn't. So let me just pop this one up here real quick, and then we'll go back to check on some of the other ones. Maybe we should check on the rest of EV. Since I talked about Tesla, I'll go back and talk about some of the other ones in that EV space. So NCLH, you can see similar pattern to what we saw for CCL and RCLH. I'm sorry, CCL and RCL. This is NCLH. Too many C's and L's and everything. This is much more similar to what we had for Carnival than it is Royal Caribbean, because Royal Caribbean broke up above resistance for a little while in the 200-day and then tumbled back down below it. CCL and NCLH both danced along resistance along that 200-day before falling off of it, and currently sitting below this little tiny support. Let's zoom out more so we can see more of the story of what's going on. So if we zoom out enough, let me see all the way down to these lower candles here. It looks like low 21s is so from low to high 21s is about where we're finding that sort of support. And most recently, where's that low candle now? Okay, low candle 22.34, and we've bounced off of that. So we haven't quite hit those lows that we hit before, but this low was a max selling pressure day for a lot of stocks, not just the cruise lines, and it recovered since there. And then it, some turmoil for the cruise lines moving forward with the different variants and headwinds that they're seeing, getting the cruising starting back up again. That question of when it's going to happen is something that's been plaguing us since the pandemic hit, that you could see all those different times that we had good news. So especially into June, we thought that we were rotating out of the coronavirus, and only to find out that we had another slew of cases and another resurgence, and then it got muted for a while. And then finally we got back into November, we'll say post-election, it would be about the time when we started hearing stronger vaccine news that we had a stronger price rally for the cruise lines. All right, hopefully Tesla comes down for a buying opportunity. Yeah, Tesla, I got to say, Tesla was one that years ago, my father bought it. And I remember looking at the numbers for it. I'm like, that's kind of rich, Dad. I wasn't looking enough at the fundamentals and the promise, and I also wasn't looking at the popularity and the hype. There's a lot that goes with Tesla besides the fact that they're very strong fundamentally speaking. They're also very strong by popularity, and they have a very strong following, a very dedicated following of people. So when it actually did drop below 700 a while back, I finally took a position way later than my father ever had said about it. My father's not a finance guy, but he does like to watch stocks, and should he see an opportunity come along, especially one like Tesla, it's one that he gets really excited about and talks about. And he's been right. He's been right a lot of times about a lot of different stocks that he found, including some smaller companies as well. I mean, I think he just has he has a natural mind for fundamentals. So yeah, the one I saw go below 600, I took that as another buying opportunity, and now it's back above 7. So hopefully now we find good support at $700. But if it does drop, and it sounds like you're bullish on it, I hope for you then, and anybody else who's looking for a stronger position, that we do get good buying opportunities moving forward. All right, let's go to our friend Lucid. That I still want to type in CCIV. It'll take a while to break that habit. All right. We get a little bit of a 200-day, which we're trading above. We get a little bit of a little more of a 50-day. which we happen to be trading above. This slant line was about where our lows were finding support for a while, and you can see we finally broke below that. We were never going to sustain that forever, because that would be incredible. Think about the short term that we'd be up into the 30s. And I've mentioned before, I'm actually going to change that line now that time has passed, because I think there's a far more relevant line that we can put in, and it's a horizontal one. So let's grab that one. And I think we'll move it up just a little bit. There we go. Just to show a little bit stronger support that we have. So for Lucid, low to mid 20s, I'd say is about right now, while they're pre-production. Once they get production and deliveries going, I think that tune is going to change, actually even ramping up to production dates and delivery dates. And especially if we get updates on the production that's anticipated, that it would be an upward revision. The delivery demand, as we get more of that news, we know more about the price that's going to happen. And I think early on anyway, that they're going to do, I should say as an early thought, I feel like they're going to do well, and we're going to have good numbers and strength. And we really want to hear more about semiconductors, because that's something that certainly, them being a new company, how are they going to deal with that? That's one of the genuine concerns that I have moving forward. And hopefully by the time they're ready to hit production, that they're not too strongly limited by that moving forward. But this most recent line that you just watched me draw in, about 22.36, we should find support right around that number. It could be a few cents under it, could be a few cents above it, but I still think that we'll find that sort of support for Lucid. And then this other one that I have drawn is around, let me get my cursor in there. I think it's around like mid 24s. So we have like a $2 range that I think is good for right now for Lucid. And if we get price action that's greatly above it, I think it'll pull back in the near term. If it goes greatly below it, I think that it'll recover in the near term. So talking short term for Lucid, mid 20s, or I'm sorry, low to mid 20s. So that $22 to $24 that you see with the lines drawn on here is about right for right now, assuming no company news has changed. So if we see it go above, my thought is that it's going to pull back near term. If it goes below, then it's going to recover. Late 2021, when we start here in production, I think mid to high 20s should be about where we see it. It might even tag as much as $30. I think that if it goes greatly above $30 before the end of 2021, that we should expect to see a decent pullback. But that's using today's information. And as we know more about production and deliveries, like I said, know more about the demand for CCIV, I think that'll be much more telling for their price action in the future. But yeah, so end of 2021, mid to high 20s, even up to maybe just touching upon $30 before or by the time we get to 2021's end. All right. So remember, if there's anything that you want to see stock-wise, just let me know. I'll go through and talk about it. I got asked last week or maybe the week before, it's a little bit ago, about what my favorite stock was. Apps is definitely one of them. And I know that I keep dancing away from EV, but this popped out of the corner of my eye and I get distracted easily. So looking at this, look how well this price action has been wrapping around the 200-day for Digital Turbine. And I think it's been working as decent resistance, but it's been working as even better support for Digital Turbine's price. And this is one that I am bullish on. And when I see it drop below 60 is usually when I tend to take a few more shares. So I don't know how soon we'll see that sort of opportunity again. We are getting decent resistance for this one. Looks like I lost my my lines on this one. So probably around like $65 to $66 per share. I'm actually going to restart WEBULL in just a moment here so that we can see that. Like I said, the system resources that I have on my computer for live streaming are just a little weak for doing this, and it causes some glitches to happen, and then I lose my cursors and such. Hey, it was back for a moment. So yeah, it looks like I can actually see that price there, 65.60. So probably about $65 about where we're hitting resistance. And right now we're trading at 64.26. And looking at the level twos, we have very even buying and selling pressure, maybe a little bit more on the buy side of it, right in the low 64. And then it looks like 64.20, that just jumped away. 64.35. So still the low 64s looks like about where we'll be holding steady in the near future here. The analyst estimates on this are pretty good. We're well below the low of $86 out of the 5 analysts that cover this. And we're really, really far below the $132 that we have for the most bullish case out of the analyst estimates that are here. So it'd be a pump. All right, Raul, I'm just making sense of your comment here. So it would be a pump or dump as it's burning. Okay. I guess you're talking about Ethereum. I'll get back to that in just a moment, and I'll address your comments real quick. I want to go to tip ranks. There we go. I'll pop Digital Turbine up there. So Digital Turbine has made a couple different acquisitions over the past 12 months, and really seeing the fruits of those acquisitions come out is something that we really want to keep our eyes on moving forward. We should hear some updates on that for Q2, but even so, I'd expect more by end of 2021 to hear more of the updates to see how well they've done as a result of those acquisitions and see how well they serve those companies. So looks like last month we get a 105 from Craig Hallam, and then 4 days ago from Roth Capital, 5-star analyst, almost 40% as an average return, and he's right half the time. So might be right half the time, but 40% return, doing quite excellent. And he reports $115 price target, which would be 78% upside. So going up 3/4 of its price from where it currently resides. So that's pretty awesome. 67% upside, $107 price target that you could see here for Digital Turbine. All right, looks like we're still not having any luck from watchtheburn.com, and that's unfortunate. I hope that is back up and running soon, because it's I think it's pretty cool to watch. Also in the vein of favorite stocks, going along with EVs, there we go. NIO, I would put this as a very strong favorite, and you can see it's currently sitting at support right around that $45 per share. And seeing this go up, depending on the delivery news that we have, I think the deliveries are going to be a big factor that we see for NIO going forward through the end of 2021. So seeing this go for between $50 and $60 by end of 2021, assuming the deliveries are there, I think is very reasonable. It might even be on the low side, but I always like to be on the low side. I like to be conservative because I don't like to get overhyped for myself about where I think it could go. If it went up to 60 or 70 by the end of the year, I would be absolutely ecstatic. And when we look at the analyst estimates for NIO, there we go. They're currently, I think, I was going to say the mid 60s, 64.50 for NIO. Those just loaded, and we have, let me see, as recent as last month, I'll just look back to last month, 64, 65, 72, 69, and 60. So by me saying $50 to $60 per share by the end of 2021, I think is very conservative compared to what we see here. So for me, I am bullish on NIO. I have a fairly strong position, relatively speaking, in NIO. So in order to come in below the analyst estimates that they say, I am excited about the company. I just like to think that there could be potential downsides that we might be overlooking. And if it is above there, well, then I'm sitting very pretty, because that still puts me in the green, just even more so than I thought it would be. So there's about 40% upside from its current price. It actually says 43.14% upside from its current price of about $45 per share. And the first of every month. So next time is September 1st that we find out about even more deliveries, and we hope to see them inflecting back upwards from the most recent delivery report. Xpeng and Lee both had very strong delivery numbers as well. I think Lee came in at like 8,500 deliveries for this most recent month that they reported on August the 1st. And that did very well for the price. And then I believe that they did a capital raise from there, because their price action has been pretty good recently. There we are. So there's the 30th. And then they had a really good day on August the 2nd. But I think if we look back at the news, let's see, today's the 5th. So it should say about 3 days ago. Why they're trading higher. Trying to check the news here to confirm some of the dates. There you go. Unusual options activity. There we go. We got a global offering. And I clicked on the wrong one. That's the one that I want. There we go. Li, an NEV automaker in China today, announced, and this was on August the 2nd. So this would be, let me see, August the 1st was, so August the 2nd. So Monday, my goodness. So 100 million Class A ordinary shares of the company, which comprise Hong Kong public offering of initially 10 million Class A shares on August the 3rd. Hong Kong at the time, Hong Kong public offering and an international offering of initially 90 million Class A ordinary shares commencing today. So dual primary listing of its Class A ordinary shares on the main board of the Stock Exchange of Hong Kong. So there you go. So they're on the Hong Kong Exchange and they're on the New York Stock Exchange. And their price has dropped a little bit since then, but it's okay to level off. I think we got a little bit of a run up there, but we do have some bullish signals for it. We're above the 200-day, we're above the 50-day. And we'll see if we start to find a little bit of support right around that mid 31. We do have decent buy side pressure right now, 31.67. We got a bunch of orders coming in there. And then the high 31s is where we're finding some sell side pressure come in. No huge price wall at the moment, at least from what we can see right here. And let's look intraday to see how they're doing. Can you please comment on Skillz? Absolutely. All right, so high 31s down to mid 31s as we look at those. So not a strong open for Li. Let's go down a few more just to see intraday what the price action's like. All right, we have like a bearish flag where this could break down a little bit more. Remember, we have that support around mid 31s. So if we break down through mid 31s, we have room for a little bit more of a drop for Li's price. Overall, I think that they're going to be rock solid, and that any significant price drop, I think that we would see would end up being temporary. You can see the 27th, which I believe was a big day for Chinese stocks overall, with that big drop that we had, that we quickly recovered above that and then ended up having support with the 50-day moving average. So that 50-day could be that next good support, that strong support that we get right around that $30 per share. All right, I just want to stop by Fisker real quick and then I'll address Skillz. There we go. Fisker, I think it's the Fisker Ocean, which is the SUV, and I think they said 28,000 United States dollars was the sticker that they were putting on it. This is another one that, like with CCIV, or I'm sorry, Lucid. With Lucid, I drew that sort of support that we were seeing the lows follow along, and then finally broke through that. We broke down through the 200-day. And now that's going to act as a line of resistance for us right around that $16 mark. And the attention for this one is the fact that we are trading near support level. So 719, which was a huge selling day for a lot of the growth stocks in general. We were back down to those lows yesterday. And so that puts us down near these lows. Max selling pressure overall for the growth stocks within recent history was 511, which we still are up about 50% from that. So we're up considerably from where they were. We'll see if this support holds over time or if it's one that's going to break on us. And then I just want to take a quick look. We'll go to tip ranks for the analyst estimates. There we go. So Fisker, we got the page finished loading. So 2 months ago was the last that we heard from it. Average analyst estimate 26.67, the low being 17, and we're currently trading below the low. So I like that that we're trading below that low side that we have. 5 buy, 2 hold ratings. The hold coming from Barclays with a 0-star analyst has a negative rate of return. There's a $10 one from 4 months ago from Goldman Sachs. Morgan Stanley putting it a buy at $40 per share. Wow. I bet there's some price action happening that day. 19, 17, 27, 30, and 27. So we got a lot of good ratings on this, and I think Fisker is going to be one that there's going to be some demand for, and hopefully it turns out well for the company and gets returned to the shareholders in the meantime. All right. So Skillz. There we go. All right, so Skillz rocking right around support. They had a low of 1190. All right. I'm going to zoom in a little more. So 1240, and that was back on April the 21st. Okay, so 1240 was the previous low, and now we get a brand new low of 1190 today. What was yesterday's low? Yesterday's low was 1206, down to 1190 today, and then currently at $12 per share. So for Skillz at this low of a price, if it's one that you're bullish on, it's certainly a buying opportunity. It's honestly one that I have a good position. Well, it's certainly not a green position. It's a little bit of a bag holding position from some of the run up that we had earlier. And then we had tech and growth sell off, and then we had bear cases that pushed it down even further. And that's why the 13th, which is probably around here, would be another sell pressured day after the price came down as low as it did. So with Skillz, the fact the monthly active users was something that for the first time ticked downward, even though the revenue was up 50%. I believe from the previous quarter. I'm going to have to go back and take a look just to fact check that, because I don't want to give you guys wrong information when we look at this. So I believe it's 50% up from the last quarter. So the revenue did well. They're spending a ton of money on advertising, but yet their monthly active users went down. And so that's a sign for struggle. And so we see this negative price action taking place, this sort of almost kind of support that we were on has something trailed off since they reported their earnings most recently. And the thing is about Skillz and about the nature of their business is that really it depends on viral gameplay, we'll call it, is that it has that sort of mass adoption and huge following, and it's going to be highly sensitive and dependent on getting out that next big game. And that's something that's very hard to predict what's going to be the next big game. And there's a lot of competition out there. And there's a lot of people that also have their staples. So getting out a game on their platform that just draws in a huge mass adoption for that game on their platform is something that that needs to happen. And it's going to be very volatile to watch until that happens. So this could be one that just trails off forever and dies on us. And, you know, that's one of the risks that you take. It could be one that trails off, and then all of a sudden, I'm going to pick on the NFL one. I don't know that it's going to be huge, but it's one that I'm excited about. Their developer competition that they have to win the NFL themed game with the NFL backed licensing. In order to get that game on the Skillz platform, let's say that's the next time. So that hits next year. So Q2 or Q3 of 2022, that hits and people play it. They find out that it's awesome. People are winning, or a lot of people are spending money, we'll call that. A lot of people are spending money, so the developers are getting paid. That means that half the people are going to win, half the people are going to lose, because it's a game that you can actually win money on. So there'll be some payout there. And Skillz should benefit as a result, because they take some of that money that was wagered on it, and some of that returns to Skillz themselves. So let's say that that's that next big game, and it really takes off, and then we see what would probably be a depressed price up until that point be something that would just take off as a huge catalyst because of very broad adoption, or huge popularity for the games on their platform. So what we want to see for return strength for Skillz is that we want to see the monthly active users go back up. We want to see the games on their platform be ones that have high popularity, that they have stickiness to them, that the people who are playing actually stay around, that those monthly active users are also paying users, because the paying users is the ones that provide the revenue. So there's a lot of moving parts of Skillz, and so it's hard to really talk about how far they can go. They have a lot of potential, and that's what you're spending on for a growth company that's pre-profit, is the potential that they offer. But there are going to be some serious headwinds as well. Like I said, nobody can predict what the next viral game is going to be. You kind of put the pieces there that make it so that it's one that has that sort of addictive draw to it, but you got to get people to actually start playing it first. So as long as they continue to innovate and continue to, they need to watch their spending, that they don't put themselves in too much of a bad way when it comes to their advertisement. We also want to see the results of that advertisement come through for Skillz as they progress, as they develop, and as they move forward. And hopefully they keep up with their platform developments so that the developers are able to make more robust gameplay and more of an interactive experience for the people who play on the games that are on Skillz platform. So those are my comments and those are my thoughts on Skillz. I still have a position based on their potential. It's one that I haven't added to in a little while because it is one that I think is a pretty full position in my portfolio. So even though I could dollar cost average to bring some of that cost basis down, I'm so heavy into it right now compared to the other stocks that I have in my portfolio. It's one that I feel like I'd be putting myself too much at risk to keep going because it's already a little bit overweight compared to some of the other stocks that I have. So that's my thoughts. That's my position on Skillz as we move forward. All right, let's take a look at some of the other ones that we have. Let's switch this around from the, ooh, my goodness. Microvision's up 20% right now. I do want to switch it to the losers, but I do want to see where we're at. So we went from $12, now we're up to $14.69. So we haven't quite broken this previous high that we have. So breaking that, where was that high price? $15.26. So probably $15 is a round number resist. Could be something we could watch even into the low 15s, and we'll see if it has that sort of momentum to get us there. Watching the RSI, we are kind of even across the peaks before. Today, we actually enter into bullish territory at just at 50. So we need that to keep going, keep on putting in stronger highs in order to see that momentum really come through for it. All right. By the way, I always end to aim at 10 o'clock. So anytime I go beyond 10, it's we'll call it bonus content, if you will. So it's 10:04 right now. I'll go for about another 5 minutes. So if there's something that you guys want me to show or to talk about, just let me know. And I'll go to those and I'll talk about them. All right, so diagonal lines. This is Chargepoint, and you can see I have that diagonal line drawn. And if I extend it, I'm not going to try and change the slope of it or how it's slanted. All I want to do is just extend it to cover this part that's out here, because we're still kind of dancing along that we have that slow, steady climb. I think they recently got a price target of $24 per share, and it's currently close to that $24 per share. So let's take a look at tip ranks and see what it has to say for us. There's that $24 one coming from Goldman Sachs, calling it a hold. From D.A. Davidson 9 days ago, $30 from Needham 16 days ago, $39 from Roth Capital, $46, $39, $39. And competition is one of the things that we have to watch out for Chargepoint. We also, the infrastructure bill, I don't know, has gone as strongly for EV charging, or that it's not looking like it's going to get as much money as we may have thought that it would have. So between the competition and maybe how EV charging stands to benefit from the infrastructure package, could be some of the things that we see taking place for Chargepoint. So we'll see if this keeps on acting as support for us. Then it's getting close that we could get enough pressure down here, squeezing down from the bears. We could see that break from the upside if support holds. If it does fail to hold, then this sort of it looks almost like a bearish pennant that we have. Could be something that could force us down through break support, and then we're all the way down and back at this resistance below $20 and below 20. And these are my opinions. This is entertainment purposes only. I'm not licensed to give financial advice, but below 20, I think, is a huge buying opportunity. Chargepoint is one that, again, I'm also heavy into that one as well. But low 20s, I think that I'd have to reconsider and actually put out there to lower my cost basis, and maybe should it go when it goes back up to the mid 20s to sell some of it. I'll take a little bit of profit on that last position that I had taken. All right. Just checking the comments there. Let's check in on our friend Golden Nugget. They've been trading sideways for a little while now. Lots of selling pressure, and really for them, legalization and adoption and market penetration, those are all things that we're watching for. They are one of the smaller plays for online gambling and online sports betting. But they're ones that have some cheerleaders behind them. I happen to be bullish on them as well. And this sort of barcoding almost that we have in between $11 and $12 is one that we could continue to see. But I really do like to see this bottom that we have right around the $11 mark. The fact that we haven't really broken below that, besides back here on the 13th of May when a lot of stocks were at their lows, So finding that support right around that $11 per share, the longer it stays, the better we can see that support hold. And hopefully the next break, we see some sort of reversal to the upside. Pennsylvania is going to be huge in determining which way that goes. So seeing them really start to flesh out their business in Pennsylvania, which is supposed to happen either by the end of 2021 or in 2022. I believe that they already have some of the licensing. So really, we just need them to get started and really push forward with that. With their online gaming that they have. And depending on how they do in Pennsylvania, that could be the next catalyst that actually starts turning things around from this bearish trend that we see, that we find ourselves on with GNOG since, well, actually here since December. But if we move forward from there, we also had, it was part of the sell-off that we had in mid to late February as well, that things also seem to just keep it right on going for them and haven't quite turned around yet. Come here, buddy. This is the guy who's been making so much noise in the background. It's kind of a quiet one other than liking to scratch at things. His name's Diego. We'll send him to go down and play. He's ready to get out of the office, so I should probably let him out of the office, and I should probably get going as well. So thank you guys for stopping by. I'm going to wrap things up for today. Remember, tomorrow I won't be live streaming. I'm playing in a charity golf tournament. It's a scholarship tournament. So I'll be away doing that, but I'll be back on Monday for more live streams at 9:15. I'm going to keep my eyes on Ethereum, hopefully watch the burn comes back up, and we get to see that ETH being burned. I think that that's something that's going to be psychologically impactful moving forward for Ethereum. And as we move into scalability and further adoption, I think that we're really going to start to see some of the pains come through with that. When I say pain, I mean deflation type pain that really will boost or reduce the supply and boost the demand, or relative to each other, that we're going to start to see that shift, and it's going to turn into positive price action through end of 2021, and with the developments also moving into 2022 as well. I think that there's good things ahead for Ethereum. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for stopping by, and we will see you on Monday.